We're talking about a Burger King follow-up story, prison labor, employee of the month, and more today on Good Work. Hello, workers of the world, and welcome to Good Work, presented by The Chief, the New York City newspaper that has been a voice for workers since 1897. This is a roundtable discussion about the world of working. Working is a major part of our lives, so we should talk about it. I'm James Mastriani.
And I'm Matt Newell.
And I'm Jake Lloyd Bacon.
And we just want to remind everybody that we are comedians, writers, and performers. We are not journalists. We never claimed to be, and we never will be. I refuse to be a journalist.
I don't know. Maybe I'll become a journalist.
I'm speaking for everybody. You guys cannot make it in the journalist world, okay?
Yeah.
Matt just banned me from becoming a journalist.
You're no Jimmy Olsen.
You know what? I feel a lot. A weight was just lifted off of my shoulders.
Oh, good. I saw you stand up straight.
Thank you for that.
I will say I minored in journalism in my 1 year of college.
I majored in mining. Did you really?
I did, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Majored in theater, minored in journalism.
Also known as most people who went to college for 1 year.
Absolutely. Yep. And still could not get very good grades in either of those. So, but here we are.
What'd you get in acting? What was your theater grade?
How
did they?
I don't remember I think my theater grade was fine. I think it was my other,
That's how they graded it?
Fine.
I got a fine. Mom, I got a fine.
That's fine.
No, James, that's an F, you idiot.
Oh, I got an F for fine.
Oh, okay. Damn. I do remember I left after 1 year with like a 1.8 GPA, but I think the theater part I did pretty well in. And then, it was all the other classes you had to take.
Yeah.
And it was also, I didn't like college that much. But I did like to party.
Okay, there you
That
go.
sounded like a segue to a segment we're calling We Like to Party.
We like to party.
We don't have the rights to that song. Please don't continue.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we are. We're excited for you to join us. If you've listened to the first 3 episodes, thank you for listening. We're excited to hopefully have you keep listening. Also, still asking for some I quit stories.
Yes.
I got fired stories. So
goodworkpod@gmail.com.
There it is. Yeah. Shoot us a story.
Speaking of stories, I'm just going to jump right into The Chief, a voice for workers. This is one of their headlines. On the cheap, prison labor generates billions. Now, do you guys know that there's a bunch of forced labor in our prisons?
Oh, I sure do.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the stuff that you wear or use is made by prisoners, and they get paid very little to nothing. They have to get paid something.
Yeah, so it's not slavery.
Yeah, quote unquote
right.
slave labor. Yes, it's 13 cents an hour sometimes, and maximum is 52 cents an hour in some of the.
They have that listed as the maximum.
They're right here. Yep. According to the office,
Yeah.
the average hourly wage paid to workers for non-industry jobs is 13 cents an hour, with the maximum being 52 cents. 52 cents an hour.
And that's after you've been there for 30 years.
Yeah, you've been promoted.
Seniority.
You got that
and
seniority. Yeah.
They send you a Happy Meal.
Yeah. It's I think some people, if you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself like, well, but they committed a crime and that's their paying their debts to society. First of all, I guess my first thought is like, is being locked in a shit box.
Having no freedom is their debt.
Isn't
that's
the debt?
already the debt. They
Yeah.
don't have to also work, and they will get punished if they don't work. It's not like, oh, we're giving you the option to get out of your cell and go sew some clothes.
Make a couple cents.
No. They will get a lot of these places will punish them with solitary confinement
Which, by the way, is
or taking away
fair.
certain privileges.
Totally.
Oh yeah, solitary confinement should be.
I mean, I know that
speaking of medieval times last week, that sounds like.
I know that we're leading with a story from the chief. This is a whole episode.
Yeah.
One
Yes.
day. Like, I mean, and I know that we actually have some people we know associated with like criminal justice who I think we can have on and talk about this ad nauseum, because the prison system is absurd.
Oh, yeah.
Absurd. Corecraft, the company that oversees they had a profit of $53 million.
$53 million made
off of prisoners.
Profit made off of prisoners who were making.
Oh, I'm sorry, $55 million in sales. So I don't know if that's profit.
Right.
Yeah,
sure. It doesn't matter
because the revenue goes back to the state,
Yep.
back to the prison, and then it just
private. Yeah, again,
private prisons,
the prison industrial complex.
Yeah.
It is absolutely absurd. And you did say like people. I think we have vilified everybody in prison because of media, because of art, because of the way we've written things. And I can speak for myself. My sister is a criminal defense attorney. And I used to think, how do you do that job? I used to think like it seems to me like you are defending.
How do you defend Jeffrey Dahmer? It's like every criminal's a serial killer.
Exactly.
And that is the thing. I think a lot of people think, cause so similarly, my father, when I was growing up, my father was a substance abuse counselor in prisons, right?
Oh, interesting.
His whole job was to go to a prison. He worked at a specific prison in Somerset, Pennsylvania, and he would try to help the prisoners stay sober.
Like essentially doing rehab stuff within the prison system.
And, in our heads, we often think maybe like, I think a lot of people might think that like, oh, everybody in prison is like the people you watch on your murder shows on Netflix.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
And, and obviously this is anecdotal, but just hearing the stories from my father growing up, like the vast majority of them were incredibly impoverished, became addicted to something as a result of their poverty, made some poor choices, and ended up where they're at.
Or not even that poor, like not even like just having a little bit of weed.
Can I go one further?
Yes.
Well, okay, yeah.
Just because what I was specifying about my sister, like I used to feel that way until I heard about John Adrian Velazquez, who is if you're a New Yorker, you might have known the name. My sister represented him, a guy who was doing life in prison for a crime he very clearly did not commit.
Yeah.
He was just released this past year after I want to say like 15 years of his life gone.
Yeah.
He didn't get to watch his kids grow up because he was convicted of a crime that he did not commit. The eyewitness who named him, who a police officer sat down in front of a computer with pictures and said, "You're going to pick who you saw kill this guy, or we're booking you for it." That guy came forward and said, "I just picked a random guy," and that guy happened to be John Adrian, who didn't even match the description. By the way, isn't the same ethnicity, didn't have the same sort of hair. Dateline NBC did a whole friggin' show on this guy.
Getting into like stuff like the like that whole that's
sure, of course. But, but what I'm getting at is there's people in prison who aren't even supposed to be there, let alone we're there for weed.
I mean, that's why we should have we should not have the death penalty. I mean, there's so many like
not at all. And so these people now are being exploited for labor, making the state money for imprisoning people who the vast majority should probably not even be in this sort of prison to begin with.
And they should also, like this article mentions, they don't even get to save. Like that'd be one thing of like when you get out, you have a little bit of saved up, so you can rent an apartment or like get some new clothes. None of their money is theirs. No. So it's not like they make the money.
No,
the money goes somewhere else. And they this one guy said he made $450 a week. Just enough to buy 2 packs of noodles, toothpaste, and if he needed it, a stamp.
Wow.
Single. Stamp.
Just a stamp.
It is weird that you're saying not a.
Huh?
A stamp.
I'm doing it like Wayne's World did with a gun rack.
Got it.
I'm doing that joke.
Sure. No, that's very.
I don't have a gun. Well, much less miniguns that would constitute an entire rack.
Nice 90s reference.
Yeah, the stamp is optional. The stamp is not always a surefire thing. You might not be able to afford that stamp.
Well, if he needed it, I think it's he's not just going to throw. He's
not
going to throw an hour's worth of work away for one stamp.
Yeah,
so broken.
Well, and it's also like it works because we don't care,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Because it's easy to throw this particular group of people, which is an unbelievably large group of people. If you're not familiar with the statistics, America, which has like 2% of the world's population, has 25% of the prisoners.
It says here 1 million people are in the workforce. That would be huge for
A company.
Any
Any
company.
company.
Yeah, that'd be like, I think that'd be one of the largest industries in the country. And, the fact is like, we have specific, collectively specific views on the justice system and criminals and that sort of thing. So they're the easiest people to throw to the wolves,
yeah,
right?
just to forget.
Yep, just
Put
forget
them
them.
away, close. Yeah, we're
Screw them. Like who?
out of sight,
yeah,
out of mind. Yep.
Yeah. And that's not even diving into the nuances of just like how it affects Black people, people of color, people that are.
yeah.
I mean, it's a really, really messed up part of our, I'll say it, police state.
Yeah.
And then, we just got one sweet comment here at the bottom of this article saying that they're overpaid.
Wait, there's a comment?
What?
At the bottom of the chief
like
article.
a chief
They're
user.
overpaid. This by someone who wouldn't put their name. DLW0. I don't know.
They're overpaid.
Yeah, this is the problem. This is the problem.
This is the problem.
This is the battle that we need to overcome.
Yeah.
It's very small-minded thought.
Yeah.
It's very small-minded
People.
guttural reactions
Yep.
to people that just assume they are perfect, and anybody who has seen any sort of legal trouble or drug use or anything is clearly the scum of the universe compared to them.
And it's a lack of class consciousness
Lack of-
too.
oh,
Because
absolutely.
a lot of the people that judge criminals and prisoners, a lot of them are workers, and
Right.
a lot of them are part of that class, and we don't have that class consciousness to be able to, go like, I see myself in them. I see how I could have ended up that way.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So, and if we had that class consciousness, maybe it'd be different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, in other news, here's another story from the chief about working from home. For some, the office is a faraway place. The pandemic obviously obliged people to work from home, and the hybrid model has become more or less a permanent feature in a lot of industries, creating some benefits while also bringing about some challenges. Shafali Kashiv, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, joined New York's Microsoft office after graduating from Johns Hopkins last August. She was welcomed by a series of online onboarding events and worked for the company remotely all the way up until this summer. That is a very long time to start a job and not actually meet anybody in person and do everything remote. She says, quote, given the fact that we met after being remote for so many months, I definitely felt like we valued it more when we were meeting in person. So this is, something that I think we can all speak to, a lot of us as freelancers and people who work from home, at least myself primarily, is there is a huge give and take here about the personal connection to your job when working remote, where the things that I think businesses feel is a waste of time, the small talk, the cooler talk, the water cooler talk, like that, those are the human connections that allow you to work in stressful scenarios with other people because you draw a personal connection with them. How many times have I personally gotten an email from a coworker that has felt like it's been very cold when the tone, like I was misreading the tone.
Right.
It's like the Key and Peele sketch where they're texting each other and they're both misreading the way that the note is intended.
Yeah.
And that personal connection could be really, really detrimental to the work. She does say here, like when you go to the office, there's a lot you want to do. Have lunch with someone, interact with someone. You always have that lingering feeling of missing out when not working from home. Obviously, working from home does come with a ton of bonuses as well.
Yeah,
productivity tends to be through the roof compared to in office work. You're cutting out people's commute time for most of these positions.
Good for the environment. Better for the environment.
Significantly better for the environment.
Less office buildings you could use for housing.
Maybe absolutely, yeah, totally. Less. I mean, that's one of the things that's like really continuing to push working at the office is like the commercial real estate industry, right?
Yeah.
Like they.
But I do agree that there is that there. It also depends on the job too.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you're a plumber, you're not gonna be able to Zoom your meetings, or Zoom your work. But if you're just doing clerical work, or there's no need for you to come into a place that depresses
Right.
you.
Yeah, I
Well,
feel like it's totally
Depends
contextual.
on the job.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
In this article about Shafali, it says that she doesn't have an assigned desk in what is technically her office for Microsoft in Times Square, and neither do most of the colleagues who work remotely. And rarely is an issue. So the idea is that you go and like if there's a desk available, that's your workstation. She says that we see technology as an aid, not as a problem. It can help us to achieve a lot more.
Yeah.
Some of the time ends up going back to the employer to some extent, says Daniel Rock, an assistant professor of operations, information, and decisions at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. That's a mouthful of a location, isn't it?
Whoa.
But Daniel's pointing out the positive impact of hybrid work. He goes on to say, but it's uncertain long term because you have to reconfigure a lot of the business processes that currently exist or used to exist to match remote workers. There are all sorts of investments that companies have to make to get remote work to work properly. Now, while this is obvious, I also do think that it just like the personal experience of being a worker, this is a give and take.
Right.
Because there are new investments that you're going to have to make the remote work. But I think because the advances in technologies, personally, I think that's a significantly less cost, a less overhead to any company than, for example, a dedicated office space for every single employee in an expensively,
Running
overpriced
AC,
New York City rent. Exactly.
Yeah, AC's running power. I mean, it's just so bad. Like it's just this one.
Totally. Yeah. And I guess for me, it just like, for my worldview, it just comes right back to like, I'm like, what do the workers of that specific company, enterprise, corporation, what do they want?
What do they want?
What do they want? Like, do they like some like this person here seems like they would want some sort of more visceral in-person type of interaction with their coworkers.
Right.
Cool. Like your specific corporation, your specific company, like I think that we don't have to have this like umbrella, like, everybody work from home, everybody work at the office. Like let the employees.
Extroverts and introvert. I'm an introvert. I wouldn't not like to see anyone ever.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you guys. Like I have to drive.
You want to zoom in? Do you want to zoom in?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We can't pay for that technology.
Yeah.
Some people like going there and talking to people.
Totally.
That's whatever makes them a better worker and a happier worker.
And
Absolutely.
I do think it is about the balance. My partner is a full-time employee from home, and it got to the point where they literally just got rid of their office in, where they had it, like in the rental facility they had, and there's no longer an office. Every employee works from home, and she has expressed how when they have like check-in meetings every couple weeks, how she feels kind of rejuvenated because yes, she would much rather not deal with traffic and cost of travel and getting the office, but she feels like she keeps saying she feels like she's on an island.
Yeah.
Like, the work that she does is staring at a computer screen and then an occasional email or, whether people use Slack or Zoom or all the messaging, Teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There is a lack of that personal connection that sometimes makes you feel like you're just a cog in a machine instead of an employee at a company that cares for you.
Too, yeah.
But I do want to say here that Daniel Rock, the professor of operations, goes on to talk about the future of this. And he says that I don't think we're going back to the expectation that you're going to be in the office every single day. Employers are having their hand forced to some extent if they want to be able to retain some of their best talents. They're going to need to be able to offer remote work in some way, shape, or form, said Rock. Some employers are willing to lose some of that talent and reconfigure their workforce around the people who do select to come into the office and actually be there. We're seeing a sort of enormous reallocation of work around new preferences where that dimension wasn't really available before. So essentially, people had to go home from the pandemic. They don't want to go back because this is a better work-life balance for a lot of people.
Sure.
Even if it's part-time in office and part-time at home, it's working.
Yeah.
At least for the employees.
Yes.
Especially
And
if you've
that's
got
what
kids,
that
man.
mattered.
Right.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
you've got kids, like daycare and, childcare and stuff is so crazy expensive.
That, yeah.
And if you have
or pets.
or pet,
I
yeah,
got a dog and it's fucking expensive.
pet care, man, because I have a dog now too, and pet care, is that's what before we get child care, honestly, and this is selfish. I will say this is me being selfish because I don't have a child.
What's the equivalent of the maternity leave for if you get a new puppy? I see like
Can I get puppy leave?
a month off.
Yeah.
Paternity leave.
Paternity leave.
There it is. That's the wordplay.
That's the title of the episode.
A lot of people
Yeah,
a lot of
there it
people
is.
say we saved him, but he saved us.
That's right.
Who rescued who?
Who rescued who?
Anyways, yeah, I think that the work from home conversation and that issue is really kind of fascinating because I think it's really generational. I think it's the older members of our workforce are having a significantly harder time understanding like, what do you mean you don't go to work?
Yeah.
It seems so foreign, and a lot of that comes from the like very clear separation of the boundaries of being at work and being at home, which because of the gig economy and because of the way that work has changed and expectations for employees has changed, that barrier got blurred so long ago anyway. With the invention of email and texting, like even people who go to an office come home and still do work in modern society because it's most work you can't just leave at the office. It's like you said, a plumber is a great example of like, I can't do the plumbing from my house. That is an example of somebody who I'm going to assume, maybe I'm wrong here, even plumbers have a better job of work-life balance and separating their work from their home life than a modern office employee or
they're not getting home and just working on unless they got like a bat, they got something,
or
they got
like
a big poop
in
their toilet, they got to get out.
But are also like there is something to be said about like the fact that they're probably still getting texts and emails late at night, whereas they used to have an office phone that they would just not pick up.
Yes.
Whereas even just having a cell phone available on your hip 24/7 means that generally you're still taking work calls when you're home. So I do think the older generation has a harder time understanding that like, well, the work-life balance is important to us because we don't have it the way that you did. We didn't get off the train
out at 5.
Yep.
And then now you're done and you're having your brandy and your cigar or whatever.
Sure.
Right? You know,
watching the races.
Watching the races.
Telling the kids and the wife to shut up. Keep it down. Daddy's watching his races.
The American dream.
The American dream. The perfect man.
So, I find this to be really interesting because I'll come clean, workers. I'll admit that I am not a spiritual man. I'm not a religious man. You can call me an atheist. You can call me agnostic. You can call me whatever. But I just don't believe in God, right? So 2 employees at a North Carolina company were fired after refusing to participate in the firm's daily Christian prayer meetings. And they are filing a lawsuit. And so just to get a little bit deeper into, so you might be thinking, maybe you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, well, maybe, they just didn't like that prayer was happening around them. Maybe they weren't forced to pray, that sort of thing. Well, actually, so first of all, on occasion, prayers were requested and offered for poor performing employees who were identified by name in front of them, which is...
So they like, James Mastriani, you're not being productive today? Get on your knees.
Yeah, let's all like put our hands on James. And let's all pray. Let's send the energy
all over his body.
Yeah,
just rub him down,
and hope he gets his sales numbers up.
What is this job? What is this?
This job is
customer service, residential service company. I'm looking at the article now.
Yeah, which I'm not.
He's a construction manager.
Okay.
And he had to. Why didn't they just wait for God to punish him? Why did they have to?
Yeah, and. I mean,
he'll go to hell.
If God wanted him to be a better employee or do
made
better,
his personality different.
Exactly. I also like that. He said the prayer meetings, which initially lasted around 15 minutes, stretched in length to around 45 minutes and longer of prayer at work, which is, one. If you have employees that aren't doing well,
don't make them close their eyes and
for 45
mumble for 45 minutes.
Maybe they could be off working. Maybe they could be off trying to whatever this construction job here is. It is.
And so they were let go.
They were fired.
Fired, yeah.
And one of them was let go. Yeah. Same thing.
We're terminated.
Send us your let go stories at goodworkpod.
Send us your Terminator stories.
This particular person was fired because he was asked to lead the Christian prayer and he refused. And then asked if he could be excused from the prayers and was then fired after asking to be excused. So
does it have to be a Christian prayer?
That's an interesting,
if he would have said "All hail Satan,"
right
at the beginning,
or Islam, or Buddhism, or
Thor,
or
what? What the?
Do you know what the complaint was that they the grounds for the firing? It states that they were, quote, not a good fit for the company.
Yeah, I bet.
It sounds like an excuse to fire them.
Yeah,
and not an actual complaint. Do you mind if I just go to work rather than pray?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that help you more if I just did my job instead of spending 45 minutes?
Yeah. And again,
speaking to my hands.
It goes back to some of these people that have this capital, this capital class, these bosses and owners, they run these enterprises like dictatorships.
Right.
And they expect everybody to follow suit.
This is an instance of regardless of what the job, literally a construction management. This is a construction company. And regardless of what the actual job is, if you are a construction manager, which is what he was, or a customer service rep, which is what she was, then this is a company that you can work at. You have an option, obviously, of companies, but jobs are limited.
Yeah.
And if this is the profession that you do, you don't really have a lot of control.
Yeah.
And this is an outlet for you to make money, for you to feed yourself, to have the basic needs and rights that a human being has in this country.
Yeah.
And you do not actually have control of your own job because, like we said, the employee class, or however you call it, capitalist class, actually has so much more of that
you
power.
Shouldn't
so
even
much
be asked. Not even just requested. You should not even be asked, do you want to pray? Or do you know what I mean? It should just be, don't bring it up.
Yeah.
Unless you work at a church. Unless you're you're a preacher or something.
Yeah.
That would make sense. It's hey, will you lead us in prayer?
I'll play devil's advocate. Wrong choice of words there. That if you have a company and you want to run the company as a Christian company, that's fine. Make sure you then
let people know that before they're hired.
Right. And you will let people know this is what we expect.
We sell Bibles here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. We're not a construction company that has nothing to do with God.
Maybe they're a construction company who only builds churches.
Okay.
Maybe the writing was on the wall the whole time. You know what? I'm on their side.
They
I
build
switch
Bible
sides.
factories.
Bible factories.
But
I never even thought about that.
Again, it is your right. It's fine. If you have a company and you want to run your company under the morals that you see fit and whatever you think is the way you want to run it, that's fine. But there is definitely a case to be made of hiring people and then being upset that they aren't conforming to you when they have not changed their position.
I am uncomfortable when coaches make their players kneel and pray.
Yeah.
That was a problem
stop that.
That was a problem for me when I was in high school.
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What does this have to do with anything? This is your thing. Keep it your thing.
That's
fine.
okay.
But it's not everybody's thing.
Yeah.
It's so
Were either of you Boy Scouts when you were younger?
Yeah, I was a Boy Scout. I was a Cub Scout.
Okay.
And a
Hell
Weeblo.
no.
I was a
No, you were nothing?
Mm-mm.
So I went all
James
the way
is
up.
afraid of
I was
bugs.
I quit 3 months. I quit he's afraid of boys. I was 3 months away from becoming Eagle Scout and I quit.
Is it the Jesus stuff?
No, because of bullying, but that's a different topic. But when we would go to summer camp, you would have to pick what your religion was to go to church on Sunday. And I remember, and here's the thing is that I was actually very religious. I grew up in a very creepy cult-like non-denominational Christian community. Because we were non-denominational, it was against my religion, I'm putting quotes around this, to pick a religion to go to because none of those were what my church told me I should be doing. Wow. And I remember being so uncomfortable that this was even a thing that you couldn't just sleep in and get on a canoe and enjoy your Sunday morning on at Camp Yagug in Rhode Island, name dropping the camp. So let's put Yagug.
Shout out Camp
Yagug. On
Shout out Rhode Island,
but yeah, it is
biggest
weird.
Little state in the union.
Yeah.
It's very weird. It is a really bizarre thing that this is still so a part of our society that you can get fired for not praying.
Yeah.
So insane. Yeah. Ugh.
What else do we have? We're on a roll with depressing news.
Here we go. I got a good something good.
All right,
I got
give
a
us something
follow
good.
up from a previous story. Did we do this last week or 2 weeks ago?
I think this was 2 weeks ago, if it's the one I think.
Yeah.
Burger King employee got a little gift bag for not
Right.
missing for 27 years of work without missing a day.
Right. And just in case people didn't listen.
Yeah, he got a gift bag, had some like candy and a movie ticket and some bullshit.
A single movie ticket. Burger King
yeah.
gave him one movie ticket for 27 years of never missing
Some
a day of
Starbucks
work.
cards, I think. I'm looking at a clear set, like a clear book bag. Like made out of plastic.
Oh yeah.
Oh, like a pencil holder, like a little.
No, but like a little,
whole-
like the ones that go over your arm, like with
Got
little
it.
ropes. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
a gym
rucksack.
bag, like a gym. Oh, rucksack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
For
So
an estimated value of $39.95.
yeah, he got 300,000 in donations after that story came out. So that's some good news.
It's bittersweet though, because it fell on the working class to
Yes.
give money that they earned
Yeah.
to do
Hey, man,
what
I'm
the
trying to
billion-dollar
I'm trying to
companies.
give us
I'm
a good story.
I'm
and
sorry.
You just made it.
I'm in a mood.
negative again.
I'm in a mood today. We started with that prison story, and I'm in a mood.
But he got $300,000 has been raised for Kevin Ford. He hasn't missed a day in 27 years.
I bet he has now.
Right.
His daughters haven't seen him in a while. Oh my god!
Wait,
this is getting sad. So they got some of the money went to a plane ticket so he could visit them.
Oh,
I
okay, got
guess.
it. All right.
Yeah, he's older. Like
I thought-
it's not like they're a kid. He's 54.
No, it made
so.
it sound like he went missing. Like he get $3,000. Now his daughters haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
So it's some good news. Good work, workers.
Yeah,
helping this
good
man
job.
out and showing Burger King what the f is up.
Yeah. Good for him.
It's really, again, it's like how sad that we had to do this for Burger King, but it's for this man, of course. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope that Burger King is paying attention a little bit, or no, they're gonna like, great, we're
they're
gonna do this
listening?
every time, and now
Yeah.
everybody will just give our workers $3,000.
Yeah.
So
think
They
$300,000.
are not paying attention.
I think they're listening to the podcast.
Do you think
Yeah.
he keeps his job after $300,000?
I hope not.
I mean, that's got to be 1,000 years pay at Burger King.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I mean, if he's an older guy, he's been there for
54.
27 years. Is that retirement? I don't know.
I
Our
hope-
class doesn't understand retirement.
I hope that he had the most glorious I quit.
I want his story.
I hope it was
yeah.
performative. I hope that it was
I hope it was choreographed.
choreo.
Had
Absolutely.
background dancers.
I hope he had a director, a good theater
a
director.
good director, not some hack.
yeah.
Off Broadway. No, a real good director.
Yeah, like Stephen Sondheim or
You just name it.
Andrew Lloyd Webber or
South Park guys who did Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
I like to
Trey Stone and
think
Matt Parker.
I always do the same exact thing. I can never get the last name right. They're always switched in my brain.
Matt, Trey, and Stone Parker.
There, nailed it.
Stone Parker.
I hope he walked in, he grabbed the stack of paper crowns, put one very meticulously,
Those
slowly
aren't gold?
on his head. I don't believe there's unless that's where their
okay.
money's going. That's why they're not. That's why they're giving people
Solid
single. I hope he put one on his head, slowly, meticulously, staring the manager down. Grab the rest of them and just rip them in half.
Yeah.
I'm the king now, and then just drop them. And
Yeah,
walk
the king is dead. Long live the king.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I hope he used all $300,000 at McDonald's. Just went and got 300 grand worth of McDonald's food. Gave them the profit.
The secret menu Big Macs with chicken instead of beef.
Yeah. Take that, Burger King. So I got a little thing from Business Insider here. And it's from our boy Mitch McConnell, the senator from Kentucky. And I wanted to bring this up because I think that this is, coming off of our class consciousness, episode last week where we talked about what is class consciousness and that sort of thing, and how the two classes have material needs and interests, and politicians represent those needs and interests. So Mitch McConnell's kind of being lambasted for saying that the labor shortage will be solved when people run out of stimulus money because Americans are, quote, flush for the moment with cash. So here's what I'm going to say. Like, I'm not even going to, it's obviously, this is obviously bullshit, right? Like the stimulus money that we got, 18 months ago, statistically, it already shows like it almost immediately went to bills and rent and
lasted
food.
about 2 days.
Absolutely. And we know that Americans are not flush with cash at the moment. And so I'm not really, I don't really want to talk about whether or not that is true or false or whatever. But what I do think that, is interesting about this and what I wanted to bring up is like, this is a perfect example of a politician, Mitch McConnell, who clearly represents the capitalist class's material interests, right?
Right.
And so people will get mad at Mitch McConnell. I don't like Mitch McConnell. And they'll say he's a bad person, right? But if we're being honest, he's doing exactly what his donators, yeah,
Funders, backers, yeah,
pay him to do, and what the system allows for him to do, right? And so to me, when you have somebody like him going out saying, that to me is him essentially saying like, we're not going to raise wages. We're not going to raise benefits. Like none of that is going to happen. Eventually, people will get so poor that they will go out and seek these awful jobs, right? And that is, capitalism is based on coercion. It is not voluntary in nature, right? That's the whole point of why they bleed money from our pockets, because they know if we get a big savings account, if we get a lot of money, we're not going to run and work for some, awful company that barely pays anything. And so the issue at hand here is like, while the capitalist class has a legion of politicians to represent their needs, right? You can count on maybe one or two hands the amount that are truly representing the needs of the worker class. And that to me is the more important, personally, the more important thing to take away from an article like this is not that Mitch McConnell is the devil, not that Mitch McConnell is this awful human being. I mean, think what you want about him. I don't like the guy, but he's doing the job that he's been hired to do.
Right.
And we, as working, class consciousness, as the working class, hopefully need to try to build some sort of way of having more politicians, if you believe that electoral politics works. We're obviously still in the middle of that experiment, but to represent the needs of the working class. And that's a great example of that to me. So I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, no, that's, you're exactly right. It is the argument of money in politics that's been made for as long as I've known what politics is. And at the end of the day, the minority leader of an entire party does not have the people in his doesn't have the people's best interests in his actions. And there is,
but so he's not doing the job he was hired to do. He's doing the job that he was not hired by the people that voted for.
He was paid to do.
That he was paid to do. That's right.
That's what I mean. But he's paid to do. And I don't even think that excuses him. No, me neither.
I mean, of course it doesn't. But it's about corruption. It's about, you know what I mean? Like,
well, he is a turtle.
That's offensive to turtles.
Turtles, like if
I love a turtle.
The Ninja Turtles were real, they would look like this. I hate his face so much. I hate him.
It's true. I'm not a violent person. There are a few people who I could probably punch a dude.
Oh my God, his stupid necklace. He's all neck. He's both necklace and all neck.
His chin is.
I hate him.
I feel like his chin. He ate his chin. I think he ate his own chin by accident.
He's so smug.
And look, I'm not. I can't stand the dude. I'm not saying.
I know what you're saying. Though,
yeah,
but
no.
And more. It's more an indictment of the system because it allows that to happen.
Yes,
right.
100%.
And there are
encourages that.
It encourages
not
that.
just a lot. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The minority of the people who are paying him to do this are incredibly pleased in ways that they will only continue to pay him and more of his colleagues to continue this perpetual, heist of laws in American politics.
And it's not that different to me. I'm not a big wrestling guy. I know you are, Jake, but to me, it's like I feel like some of these people, like Mitch McConnell, like he's getting paid to be the heel.
Oh, Donald Trump made American politics into pro wrestling in a point where it's no different than any, main event wrestling show where You've got the tailgaters and the people with the merchandise that they bought cheering for the guy that they think is their guy because they said the funny thing and they were the shocking, he is just a very crappy, unentertaining Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
Ultimately, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yes, but with real people's lives and not.
Of course, exactly. But that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the gamification of American politics.
Yep,
It's also
exactly.
to pull it away from pro wrestling. It's sports. They just turned it into we're all wearing the same jersey and we want our team to win. Why? We really actually get nothing when our team wins.
Yeah.
It's like the old Seinfeld bit. We're all just rooting for laundry at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But
we both see the same thing, but you see he stepped out of bounds. I see he was inbound. We're both looking at the same thing, but because they're the jerseys that they wear.
That's not pass interference.
That's 100% pass interference.
Oh, you're nuts.
You're crazy. I'll kill us all.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think that, next time that you see a Republican politician or somebody like that is obviously saying something that is, reprehensible or whatever, I think just remember like that, remember why they're saying those things and remember that there is no other, we don't have a party in this country that truly represents the working class. The Democrats, they try to serve both in so many ways. They are a corporate class that occasionally throws a bone to the workers or says that, they'll pay homage to the workers or whatever, but they do not represent the workers class. And that's a major part of why we're in the situation we're in.
Yeah.
Is because of their, fecklessness. I did not say the F word. That's not.
Yeah.
I didn't mark it. Don't worry.
Irish.
Right. Irish,
Can we say fick?
Yeah. What the fick?
I don't know. Now it got blurry. It was very clear. It was
Shite?
very
Can I say
clear a
shite?
little while ago, and now it got blurry.
All right. I'm going to start. This is a new segment that we may be doing here once a month called Employee of the Month. And maybe we can get a little fun little like something cool.
I'll do it. Wait, hang on a second. Redo the intro. I'm leaving this all in. I'm not going to get it, but redo it. And when the listeners hear it now, there'll be an awesome sound that you won't hear, but they'll hear it.
Okay. This is exciting.
Go ahead.
All right. So now we're going to do a new segment called Employee of the Month.
That was great. It was great.
Okay,
it sounded
great.
so good.
It sounded so good.
Wow, that was a great sound.
Yeah, I whipped that up very quickly.
This story comes to us from Fox News. A worker in Chile submitted his resignation and could not be found after his job accidentally paid him 330 times his salary because of a payroll error. Okay. So this man, his name is Dario. I'm going to not do this right, but I'll do my best. Dario Financiero from Chile. He was supposed to be paid 500,000 Chilean pesos, which is about $545. And instead he was paid, I'm going to say it in pesos first because it sounds way bigger, 165 million Chilean pesos, which is about $180,000 US.
Woo!
He got paid that instead of the $500. So he found it in his account. He called the manager. The manager said, okay, hold on. We're going to get back to you. He then put his resignation in and hasn't been seen since. He agreed to go to the bank the next day, but then just didn't show up. And then he got a letter. His lawyer sent a letter saying that he resigned. This man is a hero.
Yes. Good for you, sir.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Is there a photo of him on that?
No way. I bet he's changed his appearance.
I was gonna say I want to make like that classic Che Guevara shirt, but with his face on
hilarious.
it, with just his face.
What did they expect him to do?
Yeah. Oh, be honest.
I mean, there's something to be said about like the severity of the amount.
It's
that like that is that's a challenge of morality right there.
I mean,
but also
not for me.
The company itself, though, like
he's an assistant at a cold meats manufacturer, so I'm sure it was a real fun job.
Yeah,
real, didn't smell at all.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Close.
That it cleared. They had the money.
Oh yeah,
that's
it didn't bounce. If it bounced, he would have been like, "Oh, this didn't." Yeah, this
like it's one thing to make this error and be like, oh my God, that was such clear. And like, our company, like literally this is going to
you're
bankrupt.
working for a little old lady
Yeah.
selling macrame materials.
If this cleared, as far as I'm concerned,
yeah.
Possession is 9/10 of the law. We used to say that when we were kids.
Yeah.
Depending on how long he's worked there, I bet you he's earned that company $180,000 worth of profit.
Exactly.
Yeah. So to me, they're just paying him back. And
Man.
I hope that he is on a beautiful beach in, some place that doesn't have
having a nice pisco sour or somewhere.
Yeah.
Oof.
Enjoy your life, sir. You are the employee of the month.
Employee of the
indeed.
month. And then we'll have that little music at the end here.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure, it sounds so good.
I already did it. It's already done.
Whoa.
Nice.
That's great. Good Work is presented by The Chief, a New York City-based newspaper that has long focused on municipal government, civil servants, and the important issues affecting New York State and federal employees.
Recently, under new ownership, they have expanded to cover issues of broad concern to all working people in the private and public sectors, as well as in the ever-growing gig economy, not just in New York, but nationwide.
The Chief believes that labor needs its own paper and is proud to fill that need. So visit www.thechiefleader.com where you can subscribe to the digital paper for as little as $2.75 a month. Not even one of those rare $3 bills gets you a subscription to The Chief. www.thechiefleader.com.
All right, workers. So today we want to take a little break from talking about work and instead talk about jobs. See what I did
Good
there?
job.
Good job. And specifically, we want to highlight what we think are some of the most underappreciated jobs, both in history and today. Now, this will be kind of like a regular occurring segment that we're going to do. So, if you have a job that you think is underappreciated, email us, tell us about it at goodworkpod@gmail.com. And next time we do this segment, we may talk about yours.
And what are some of the requirements of a job that may be underappreciated?
Honestly, I think this list can be endless.
Of
As long
course.
as you don't feel appreciated, I think
Sure.
you can throw your job in here. So we don't want to
Totally.
limit it to
No.
anything. So
Yeah.
I think if you feel underappreciated in your job,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be dangerous. It can just be annoying and you don't get paid a lot.
Totally.
So I would say I'm not too worried about. I think
I would
it's
say
a pretty broad.
Sure, I would say we use that tagline at the top of the Chief: that good pay, safety, opportunity, and equity.
If you don't
as
have
our-
all four,
if you don't have all four,
yeah.
then you likely have an underappreciated job, or you just have a bad job.
Yeah,
That's right.
which is probably,
Most.
like Matt said, probably
Most
every
of
job.
them.
Yeah.
For sure.
This is a pretty sweet job.
This is
Just talking about bad jobs.
yeah, this is a good job.
So I think we went a little long this week, so
We
we're
did.
gonna start. We're just gonna do some past jobs.
Yeah, well,
and
this
then
will
we'll
be
pick this up.
a little flavor of what we expect from you according to your new jobs.
Yeah, and this is not a list in any order. This is just ones that we were thinking of.
Now, when you say past job, how far back are we going?
millennial,
Feud-
millennium,
Feudalism, monarchies, all that sort of stuff.
yeah,
I think
pre-Earth,
oh yeah, yeah.
like middle. No, not that far back. Maybe one of these.
Worst job, hunter gatherer.
Hunter-gatherer.
Terrible job. Terrible job.
Best job.
Moral job, though. Very
Yeah.
moral job.
Very
though.
very moral. Very
Rewarding.
ethical. Yeah, that's true.
All right, so I think chimney sweeper.
Okay.
You know, a chimney sweeper, and
Yeah.
they weren't lovable Dick Van Dyke
No.
characters. They had to climb into. I'm watching a TV show now called Escape at Dannemora, which is a Ben Stiller directed, came out a few years ago. And there's a scene. It's a prison break movie. So but he have to crawl through a pipe at one point. It is so claustrophobic, and that's what I think about. I was watching that, and I was like, "That's
Like being
what a
a
chimney
chimney,
sweep, or like a Shawshank when he has to climb
Sure.
3 football fields through feces." I guess I should say prison escapee is also a bad job.
yeah.
But chimney sweep, they have to climb into these dark and narrow chimneys, and they got to just sweep out the dirt. And I also know that there are still chimney sweepers. Jake.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
sure.
so this isn't relegated to just the past.
I would think, though, that technology maybe has changed. Tools have adapted in ways, or is it still the same?
I was watching Amazing Race, and they had to do it as a challenge. They had a chimney sweep in another country, and you just drop this big chain down this long chimney
And pull it
and
up.
it like scrapes the sides of it. and then pull it up, but it's like a heavy weight.
like cleaning out a water bottle.
That's what it was, but it was like with an anchor on the end of it. It was just crazy looking.
Which I'm assuming they didn't have that. Maybe they did. Maybe,
I think they went in there with their broom.
They totally did. Yeah.
I think they went in there and they got stuff in their lungs, and they probably and then a lot of them were kids because they were little enough to fit in there.
Right.
So like that was like before there was child labor laws.
Like it was Paperboy or Chimney Sweep.
Yeah, it's like if you don't got a good voice and you can't, hawk some papers on the corner, you got to get in that chimney and sweep it out.
I like that. I like the idea that they were auditioning the Paper Boys. Like, we got to hear this kid's voice before he sells our paper. See,
all right, give us a headline, boy. Well, okay, yeah, chimney sweep.
Please. It's a 10-year-old pack-a-day smoker that's just like,
hey, ye, let me hear you here, ye.
Yeah,
I mean, this stuff writes itself, kids.
That's when the little chunky kids didn't. They got off though because they couldn't fit.
Oh yeah.
Now here's the question:
fine.
Bad job. Underappreciated? I feel like people probably loved their swimmy cheap kids.
Do you think they got?
They probably barely paid them.
Christmas tip.
They barely paid them.
That's underappreciated though.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Good pay.
You're right.
Good
The
pay.
number one.
Here's one. I bet Chimney Sweep doesn't even get one of the four.
You know what?
Definitely not.
Maybe opportunity. Maybe Chimney Sweep offers opportunity
Because you might run into Santa.
Yeah. There you go.
That was better than the joke I was going to make. So I'm just going to move on now.
Yeah. I only do this.
You never believe who I ran into today.
Yeah, and guess what? He wants me to come be a slave up at his up at his North Pole factory, making toys all the time.
More prison labor.
More prison labor. Yeah,
no one talks about that. That should be on the list.
That should be on the list. Yeah,
I mean, I think we started this whole episode with that exact job.
Yeah. Unionize, Santa elves. Unionize.
All right. There's one on the list that, whether or not you qualify it as a job, I don't know. I think that ultimately it does. I think one of the most underappreciated worst jobs of all time back in the day was being a single woman, also known as a witch.
That's right.
Yeah.
You could not be single
and
over 16 years old and not be considered a witch.
Being a woman, anytime before, one could argue today is still really bad, but
anytime before June.
Yeah. Before June.
June of 2022.
I think we're talking Salem. We're talking, if you are unwed, unchild, and no prospects, then something must be wrong with you.
Yeah.
You are clearly a demon. Not only are you underappreciated and wildly underpaid, there is zero opportunity unless you're really into burning yourself.
Yeah, or let's see if she floats.
Right.
That was the thing. Like, if she floats, she is a witch.
Right.
So we kill her. If she drowns, she was not a witch.
And we know.
That was the test.
That we know.
Oh,
isn't that insane?
That is.
So they throw them in a river, and if they so you're screwed either way.
You might have just.
Damn, she wasn't a witch.
Now we know.
Well, we can like her now. After the fact.
Maybe next time.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, now here's the question: is there any equity in being a witch? Do you get hey? If you think I'm a witch and you haven't yet thrown me in the river, maybe I can. Maybe there's a little bit of clout in people thinking you're a witch. You can maybe get your way in certain. You know what? You're definitely not paying your chimney sweets. They're all afraid of you. They all think you're a witch.
Yeah, but do you live in a candy house? If you're a witch,
different types of witches.
See,
some of them live in caves.
That's
some of them
reductive.
Live in candy.
That's reductive, dude. There's so many different kinds of witches.
Well, you're talking about.
Now remember,
you're putting them into one category.
And remember, this was about being a single woman, not necessarily a witch. You were assumed to be a witch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know. I know. There's no such thing as witches. Okay. Wait, you don't have to say that right now.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Santa Claus told me there's no such thing as witches. Yeah, that's what else do they live? They live candy houses and caves.
And like cool old creepy houses that aren't necessarily candy made.
Okay, that's true. Like old rundown houses.
Yeah, like
nice.
the cabins in woods.
What are the witches? Don't they have like covenants or something? Don't they have like
covens?
Covens,
yeah,
not covenants. Covens.
Yeah, covens, but that's just a bunch of them in a cave or in a house.
Oh, got you.
Like
protecting one another because they're
Hereditary.
all single women over 16.
Right.
Yeah,
They need to protect one another. They need to stick. You know what? Coven, ultimate union.
Union. Yeah.
A coven is just a fantastic union for witches.
There you go.
A union for witches.
And covens tend to have good pay, safety in numbers, opportunity. Maybe you get to run a coven eventually of your own. You get, and equity because, hey, you live here, you get the room and board, you get this house, you get
children or whatever they do.
Whatever you do.
And also like great visibility if you go on strike because it's just a bunch of witches just flying around on brooms with picket signs. So you get like really good visibility.
There's something to be said about like hanging your picket sign from your broom.
Yeah.
Like one of those planes with a banner behind it. Like that's pretty. That's some A+.
I bet they could do some skywriting.
Oh, that's even more fun.
They gotta have some. I mean, sure they got a spell or a curse or something that can do that. That is an underappreciated job.
Underappreciated job for sure.
Being a single woman, but not being a witch. A witch is a very appreciated job.
Absolutely. Yeah. At least by the three of us.
Yes,
it seems.
Here's another one this is an actual job from the past, popular in monarchies, known as groom of the stool. So we're getting we're heading into a direction of a little bit gross, right? So the groom of the stool your job was to help the monarch to the toilet because they're, dainty, God-appointed little
inbreds
feet couldn't carry them to the toilet. And you would help them have we'll call it a BM. And then afterwards,
that's worse than poop.
Two
BM is like,
and then you had to clean their bottom afterwards. Now, good pay. I don't know. I doubt it.
I bet there was no pay.
Probably no pay.
You just didn't get thrown in the dungeon.
Yeah, you just safety.
That's probably the only thing you got.
Because
you probably did the job.
I think they gave you gloves?
For safety. Oh, I see what you're saying. Safety, not from doing the job, but from just
other jobs,
from other jobs,
worse jobs.
From the monarch themselves.
Right.
It's like being held up. It's like the mob guys being like, "Hey, I'd hate something to happen to your store. You didn't pay your protection dues."
Yeah,
I see. But do you think you were very do you think monarchs were very particular, or you like, hey, that guy's a good?
I guarantee
that guy's got a soft touch.
Absolutely, yeah. He
uses the best sheep's wool.
He is
or whatever they use,
the groomest of stools.
Yeah. Is that where now the stool? Because stool is also a disgusting way to say poop.
Yeah,
okay.
A stool sample. Is that where it comes from? The term is the stool here, the stool, the pot, or the stool, the
That's a very good question.
The dirty.
I mean, listen, we're supposed to approach this show with a tone of curiosity. We also need to learn. I'm looking the etymology up of stool because this is a fantastic question.
It is a good question.
Maybe I am a journalist.
Oh, you're not going to like it.
I'm going to love it.
The noun stool has referred to a toilet seat for hundreds of years, hence the use of stool for the fecal matter discharged while sitting on the toilet.
Okay.
So it was originally just the name of the poop.
So it was a sample from the toilet.
When the word stool showed up in Old English in the late 800s, it could refer to any kind of seat for one person, according to the Oxford English Dictionary. But let's see, hang on. This seems like it's the OD notes that stool was often used for chair of authority, state, or office, especially royal or episcopal throne. However, the similar term, the noun, is now used to reference, what we know as. I think that it was simply like it jumped from meaning an actual stool, like we sit on,
to
what we call it now because of it remaining on the original.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a weird journey to go, but that's what the internet gave me.
Loose stool.
From the 800s though. Pretty impressive.
The 800s?
Yeah, pretty impressive that we've been able to carry some of these words for so long.
Crazy to say that.
By the way, next time a doctor asks for a stool sample, I'm going to break off a piece of my toilet lid.
Nice.
You show that doctor.
Yeah.
Who's trying to help you? Who's boss?
He'll be like, Jake, you have Crohn's disease. I'm begging
I can't do
you.
anything. Stop. You come to see me once a week and you always break off a piece of your toilet. All right.
Underappreciated job. Groom of the stool.
Groom of the stool. That is, I'm sure it was awful.
Nobody wanted to shake your hand. Nobody, invite you to dinner.
I'll throw another job out there. The third child in a monarchy.
Do elaborate.
You don't get anything. You don't get the train. You don't get like the sword training or any of the like the studies and learn poetry. Because you're not, even the second child's like, you could be the king.
Right.
The third child's they're just running around. I guess maybe there's no pressure. Maybe
I would say though, the third child might be motivation
to kill the other two.
It might create a
opportunity.
murderer.
Opportunity.
And there you are safe because you don't have to do all the archery and all the
That's true.
the combat training.
Self-starter. You become a self-starter when you're the third in a monarch.
Do you think they get paid well?
Absolutely.
The third child?
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, they've got to have some sort of like
I'm sure
inheritance.
they're taken care of.
Yeah, they're probably taken care of.
But I don't know if they get like a paycheck. They have to go cash.
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean,
Equity is good though,
Equity is
because
very
you
good.
you get to be a part of a family that owns an entire country.
Right.
So there's long-term equity there, right? You get all of England or all of Spain or
Are the treasures theirs or are the treasures the country's? Do you have to remain? But like when what was the king before Elizabeth, her dad, Queen Elizabeth's dad, his brother quit. Like around World War, like this, the King's Speech's brother. This is great.
the King's Speech's brother.
He quit and he renounces because he was supposed to be the king and he quit. His younger brother got it, but now that he doesn't get any money because he quit.
Right.
So it's tied to the job.
right.
It's not just theirs.
Sure.
It's as long as you are working as the head
For
of
the
this
monarch.
Yes,
Yeah.
you get this treasure trove.
George the Sixth.
George the Sixth.
Yes.
Yes, and then his brother was what? William?
His brother.
The one
Oh my goodness!
Queen Elizabeth's dad.
I pulled up the I pulled up this family tree, and boy, oh boy, is it not easy to immediately look
Not
at
a lot
and
of
comprehend.
branches.
It's just one straight tree trunk.
There's like 4 names: George, William, Elizabeth, and Victoria.
That's true, and they all repeat the few that are there. Yeah.
So it looks like, just to answer your question, it looks like, there's just like there's different democracies, different kinds of governments and such. If it's an absolute monarchy, then the royal family gets to control all of the money.
All right. Well, I think we got time for one last old job.
I'm going to go with pure finder because I've never heard of this job and I think it's really interesting. So a pure finder is a job where a tannery, which uses like leather and that sort of stuff back in the day, would hire you to find as much dog feces in the city as possible because dog feces was the best thing that they could use, the best element to use to dry book bindings.
What?
Yeah.
Why dog?
I have no idea. Actually, that's a really
Why
good-
not?
Probably because of
Why not?
probably because it's the
carnivore?
most. There's the most of it that isn't being used for other things. This would be my
Right.
guess. Would be it's probably just like animal feces of some sort, but it's like, well, manure and stuff like that we're using for crops. Like I feel like everything else might have had a purpose.
I guess so. I bet there's also a different consistency. Like horse manure is so grassy. Like my dog is always eating horse manure when we would go on hikes because it's like pure
Whoa.
grass.
Really?
It's disgusting. It's the worst.
Whoa.
She grabs it and then I have to I try to not make her do it, but she just will reach it.
It's quick. They're quick. Dogs are quick. Yeah.
Just grabs the horse manure and then she's gnawing on it and it just crumbles like grass.
Yeah, please.
Or like I think vegetarian animals or herbivores, I guess they call it.
Vegan.
They don't choose. They're not like picking it. They're not like it's a lifestyle.
I'm a pescatarian.
Yeah, you're a grizzly bear. Of course you are. But I feel like dog because they are omnivores and mostly carnivores.
Right.
That it's got but the consistency's different.
I
that
made
makes
a
sense.
disgusting episode.
Can I say?
Yeah,
Can I
pretty
say
gross.
though, if a pure finder's job was just to go around
Pure.
finding dog feces, it's really just what all dog owners now do
Yeah,
on a
that's true.
broader
I
scale.
can spot it.
Right.
Before I had a dog, I didn't know how much dog
Oh,
shit
now
was
it-
all
yeah,
over
you
the
just
city,
notice
and
it
now
everywhere.
everywhere I see it.
Yeah,
'cause
same.
She's always sniffing it. Why? But also the name is Pure Finder.
I know. And it pure was like what they called the dog feces. That's why they called it Pure
I'm gonna
Finder.
start calling my dog's poop Pure.
Yeah. Ooh,
Did you
look at
pick
that.
up her
That's
Pure?
pure.
Got any Pure bags?
And so this was and also tanneries, because doing research for this, I was reading tanneries sounds like an awful job.
It reeks.
Yeah.
You just have all this skin laid out, and you're just drying it in the sun. There's just flies buzzing around constantly, and you're just
yeah.
leather makers.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. For all things Good Work, make sure you're visiting goodworkpod.com, where you can find official merchandise, links to our personal social media accounts, and of course the Discord community, so that you can join in the conversation. Discord community, by the way, is completely free. I know a lot of other podcasts put that behind a paywall or behind a Patreon. That's open to everybody and anybody. So if you enjoy the show, you want to come talk and hang out and chat, make sure you're checking out the Discord. All of that and more can be found at goodworkpod.com.
And you can go also email us your stories at goodworkpod@gmail.com. And while you're at it, rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your potties.
And of course, check out The Chief at thechiefleader.com. Subscribe to the digital copy of the paper, and also follow them on social media at The Chief Leader on Twitter and TikTok, and The Chief News on Instagram.
That'll do it for this week's show. Good work, guys.
Good work, guys.
Good work, everybody.
It's Dragon Wagon.